welcome to the Shimano Library, and today we are browsing through the final chapter of the Triple S saga. At this point, the deck is pretty familiar to everyone, but if this is your first time seeing it, it is an aggressive blue-white shell that relies on the three S's, Savannah Lions, Su-Chis, and Serra Angels. In today's match especially, we are going to see what those Su-Chis can do when push comes to shove. If you ever wondered how good they can be, this is the match to watch. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. You saw the title, I know what you're all wondering about. Though I'm going to this match blind. I am facing a deck called Tampere Knights, and this is one you won't be seeing every day, but it is a doozy. The deck is a black control shell featuring Underworld Dreams, Sinkholes, Drain Lives, and Abyss. Basically, slow your opponent down, jam the game up, take one-sided draws with Greed, and eventually kill your opponent with Dreams. There are a few tapping tools for factories, removal for other creatures, so you won't get overrun. The deck is piloted by none other than the man, the myth, the legendary Bathrobe, Slotherrin, who took it to the finals of the first Fountain of Youth Open, so we know we're up against a tough opponent. Alright, let's get started. But before we do, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more old school content. And without further ado, let's hit the books and start the match. Alright, game number 1. I took a mulligan and won the dice roll, so I get to go first, but a little short-handed. One card bottom. I'm going in this match blind, but knowing my opponent, I do have a little hunch of what might be coming here. So I'm not sure, but this hand is good enough to keep Factory, 2 Moxen, and a Soul Ring. That's more mana than you usually need at this point. So, a great way to start the game. And here, fearing what's the worst that can happen. And yeah, turn 1 Library of Alexandria. Yeah, that's pretty much the worst thing that can happen. And my opponent being now at 6 card, they had to take a mulligan as well. That library is going to be drawing cards immediately, passing to them. So I got a big problem facing me dead on right there. And of course, the immediate draw, and that's pretty much what we're going to be seeing as much as possible. Drawing every single opportunity they get, because those cards are going to matter the most. Passing the turn to me, and now attacking with the factory is pretty much the best thing I got going. Sure, I got mana, but unfortunately not that much to do with it. So, passing the turn, but seeing that immediate upkeep draw with the library, and then the regular draw, and I'm down to 3 cards in hand. So this start doesn't look good, but let's see how it turns out. And there's the answer to the factory right away. Relic Barrier is an extremely annoying card in a match like this, and this is one of the key cards of the Tampere Knights deck. Fortunately, I got a disenchant in my back pocket right away to get rid of that. Otherwise, my mana sources would be blocked, my factory couldn't attack, and pretty much that would just make my life a bit more miserable. Fortunately, this is the top deck I was looking for. Serra Angel just got in, and that clock got a lot faster. Now, the library drawing the 3rd card, and yeah, that library has basically now been just an Ancestral Recall. So yeah, that is something you don't want to see. And yeah, opponent playing things a little bit out of order, but yeah, Soul Ring first, then the Relic Barrier. Then things get done right. Unfortunately, that's the kind of thing I feared. The Maze of Ith and Relic Barrier both just making my life miserable, negating all my attacks at this point. I would need a lot more crew in right now. And thinking long and hard. So, my attacks are nullified, more lands. This doesn't really look that good, but I got nothing, let's make them use it. Usually I don't do this. I do this only just once, so kind of do the mace check, and that's about it. My opponent knows what they're doing, so I don't need to do it anymore. Passing the turn, let's see how bad it gets now. There's a 7th card, and the library goes for the 4th draw at this point. My life is looking a bit rowdy at this point, but fortunately my opponent doesn't seem to have any threats or any kind of like vital key cards in right away. But things might just change. Yeah, the Library of Alexandria drawing lots of cards, but that Jem'Day Tome, that's gonna just speed things up a lot more. Because now they can make sure they have a land drop every single turn and cast something, well, at this point relatively cheap, but something every single turn. And me, yeah, I'm not drawing good. I think at this point the situation is scary. It's not bad yet because the Underworld Dreams hasn't been deployed. There is no Abyss, but I'm pretty much just looking for more answers to kind of get myself back in the game. Library drawing extra, and let's see, do they need a book draw as well? Or how good their draws have been. There's the Mox. Yeah, there's the Underworld Dreams and Mana Drain right there. That's one of the key cards that I do need to counter every single time in this match, because that Underworld Dreams will be killing me real quick, because usually just these matches go long. There's like no questions there. And even your single turn, your normal turn draw, that's gonna be pain. That's gonna be so much pain so quick. And yeah, I got a book as well, so that's that Underworld Dreams would be quite detrimental for me. So an immediate draw, and at this point I got a big dilemma in my hands, because I drew a balance. And that balance is risky. I'm down on cards, I'm down on lands. Those are the key factors, because that Library of Alexandria, that's a problem. And yeah, I'm gonna go and play it. I can sacrifice my angel all I want, because dropping their hand down to 2 cards, making sure their library ain't drawing anything, that's just crucial thing right here. Because we both have books, that's fine, but that's draw for each, doesn't matter. But a book and a library, that would be like just a nightmare situation. Opponent thinking long and hard which lands to sack. The library is probably gonna go, yeah, looks like it, because they're gonna lose 5 cards from their hand at this point, so the library ain't gonna be drawing anything anytime soon, so just probably gonna give it up. And let's see, what cards do we see? Triple Ritual and a Relic Barrier. Yeah, those weren't gonna be really useful at this point at all. That much extra mana would only be seen, maybe used in that kind of last reach, final reach, drain life for those extra few points in the end. But not really something you actually want to use. Well, let's see how the table's gonna be turning now, because the situation is quite balanced. City in a Bottle, yeah, I'm gonna just let that go immediately. City of Brass and Library of Alexandria, if I remember correctly, the only cards in my deck that bottle is gonna be affecting, so that's not a big issue. You're going to tap the book, but of course I'm gonna be drawing immediately. And the turn draw. And let's see how this is gonna be played out now, because we both have draw engines. My opponent's locking me up out of 1 attacker and possibly a second one with the Relic Barrier, so I need at least 3 decent beat us to kind of do anything at this point. Because, yeah, my opponent's probably going to be just forcing me to draw at times when I don't want to. And yeah, another Underworld Dreams and an instant counter spell. There's like no questions that card is not going to be seeing play. And again, on my upkeep, tapping the book. So yeah, that's a draw. Might not be the most opportune time for me, but at least it's not harmful. I would like to draw in there instead, but you do what you have to do at this point. I just want to see this game go a little longer, and Ancestral Recall, one of the best things I could draw right there. 3 extra cards, and Underworld Dreams is not in play, so those are free. And do I get any good? More factories. That's nice. I would like to see maybe a little more white mana, because I only have the Mox and 1 Tundra, so 1 Sinkhole and annoying use of Relic Barriers or something like Icy Manipulators would kinda ruin me. And immediately going for the book draw, and that's pretty much what this is, this game. Drawing with the books, getting their own factory in and passing the turn. And do we need to do the instant draw? Thinking about it, but not going for it. Yeah, they're looking at these factories, they're becoming a much bigger nuisance, so preventing them from attacking has now become more important than bothering my draws. And a little math on my side, but yeah, at this point it's pretty safe just to keep drawing extra cards. I'm a little ahead on life, I'm a little ahead on cards in hand. I got 2 factories against their 1, but those tappers are making sure that I'm not attacking anytime soon. And there is the Su-Chi number 1, and yeah, there's the counter for those critters, because this match, we're gonna be seeing them a lot. Yeah, like I said in the intro, this is a Su-Chi match, no questions asked. And the Relic Barriers are going to be extremely useful for tapping them down, making sure they won't be connecting. Because hitting for 4 is... It packs a punch. It swings the game quite quickly. Especially looking at my opponent, even at 16 life, that's 4 hits. And Su-Chi's factories, it adds up. Yeah, and there's the sinkholes we've been waiting for. Taking care of one of my factories. Those sinkholes at this point probably will be aimed at the factories, because my opponent wants to keep this game going for as long as possible. And the factories are one of the creatures they have the most difficult time removing otherwise, or in general dealing with. Because they have terrors, there's most likely an abyss or 2 in that deck, so those little white lions that just keep popping up now, they might not live that long. And yeah, copy artifact on Su-Chi, another one of those. And now the situation is looking pretty decent for me, because yeah, that blocking factory can pump itself, so one of my lions is probably gonna just die, but having just multiple attackers is extremely important for me at this point. I need to get around those Mazes of Iths, so just spamming the board, dropping in every single creature I can is important, and that's something I didn't want to see. The second Maze of Ith, and my attacks just got a lot more worse, and now the Underworld Dreams has landed. No blue mana up, no white mana up. I'm gonna probably be taking at least 1 point of damage from this book, but I'm at 19, it's pretty safe. Book draws are, I can do a few. Because I'm thinking at this point that I need to just drop out every single creature I have and start making massive swings. Like, try to get even one creature through every turn. And yeah, activating the factory. Thinking how this is gonna play out. They don't have mana to activate their own factory, so it's kind of safe attack, but they have basically 3 taps here. So first it's the Relic Barrier for the Su-Chi, yeah, that's an obvious start, those are the biggest creatures. And I'm assuming Maze is gonna untap the Su-Chi and probably the factory. I don't think it matters at this point. Which is gonna be, yep, factory it is. So 4 points of damage coming through, dropping them to 12. But I think we're gonna see a quick swing of the game because I just drew the perfect card for this situation. Time Walk. Yeah, Time Walk is a key in a match like this. When you're playing against decks with Mazes of Iths, anything to tap you, like doing this kind of one-to-one delaying tactics, getting the extra turn, that's enough. And at this point my opponent just countered the situation. I got enough. The second swing is gonna get through and I'm gonna be winning it. So that was game 1. Game number 2, mulliganing again, and now on the draw. The sideboard plan for this one was quite simple. Basically take out almost every single white creature I have. All 7 alliance are sided out. I'm gonna be relying on those Su-Chis so much on this, because I'm assuming my opponent's thinking Terra's Abyss, they might have to leave some in. So I'm just gonna make sure those guys are dead. And this start was kinda difficult for me, because looking at this, like, immediate sinkhole on my Tundra, which was my only white source at this point, and drawing that Library of Alexandria after mulliganing and after deploying Moxes and Sol Ring. And there's the Mind Twist with the Dark Ritual, making sure I'm not going to be drawing anything. And this hand was stacked. I'm gonna drain Brain Geyser and copy Artifact, all important cards in this match, and I'm gonna be starting out with 0 cards in hand. I'm just gonna be hoping that my top decks are gonna be good. And opponent going with the Sol Ring and the Su-Chi, number 3 for this match. Yeah, I just got land. Okay, so 5 turn clock. I assume I'm gonna be hitting something before that. And a Maze of Ith, yeah, is gonna be getting kinda do all the maze tricks now. Even with the attacking Su-Chi. And that was the Abyss. My opponent thought that I would have white creatures, Su-Chi number 4. I would have white creatures in my deck left, so keep the Abyss. And now that Relic Barrier, that's gonna be annoying because my blockers are gonna be removed at this point. So this match is pretty much gonna be played Su-Chi v Su-Chi. Who gets to draw most and who gets to tap them better. Those Relic Barriers are much worse for me. Okay, Su-Chi number 5. Are much worse for me than the Mazes, because Maze is just okay in that sense that it negates my attack. That's fine. As long as I'm in the game and the game goes long, that's okay. But the Relic Barrier makes sure that the attacks get through much better. But having just more Su-Chis is better. So why not go with another Su-Chi? Copy Artifact on that Su-Chi, making it number 6 of the match. And at this point, I'm just trying to kind of balance the game out. That I'm one card in hand, so I gotta think real hard. Can I attack? Singling my opponent, I'm going to attack, stay tapped 1. Yeah, I'm gonna be swinging. Because I'm fine trading 1. I got 2 left. Sure, they can't attack much, but just getting rid of their Su-Chi makes it so that even any factories I get later on might get through. So trades fine for me. And let's see how this goes. thinking hard what to do because my opponent's not so sure about the trade. So yeah, one's untapped for sure. That's quite obvious. But the other one, it did not trade. It got through, and yeah, that's exactly the reason why I did it. I got the factory in hand, and I would trade the Sulchis immediately so the factory can get some extra damage through. But now the board is stalled a bit, and the mind games begin pretty much because my opponent's basically holding all the cards at this point. My board is pretty clear. It's 3 large beaters and a Mishra's factory. It's not that hard to read what's my plan. I'm gonna be, most likely, unless there's any changes, I'm gonna be just swinging as much as possible, but that's not sustainable for my opponent, so a proper long thought, thinking hard, going in for the damage, tapping my blocker, getting that Suchi sideways, dropping me down to 12. Dropping me down to 8 from 12. And yep, there's the reason why they went attacking. Suchi number 7 of the match. Yeah, same thing that I did, but now their turn. Okay, situation got from fine to bad. And now I gotta start thinking real hard, what can I do? And the problem is that I can't really do much. My attacks aren't that good, and I can't really race against 2 Suchis. Against 1, probably yeah, but 2, not gonna happen. So this is gonna be a little draw go right here. Because unless it's a creature, I'm not pretty much playing it, and my opponent's doing almost the same. We're just loading up on cards, loading up on abilities. Ooh, something I did not want to see at this point. Underworld Dreams, and I got no counters in hand. Because now the stalemate can't go on forever. And the problem is I'm down at 8 life, so that is not many cards I can draw. I gotta be fast. And being fast, that's not something that can happen quite easily. But the question is my opponent gonna be even more aggressive and dropping me down, trying to drop me down to 4, making my draws even worse? And yeah, both Suchis are coming in. So yeah, that factory is gonna be jumping, and I'm okay with the trade. Trade's just fine, because my opponent's at 16 life. Killing them with just combat damage is probably impossible at this point, so I'm looking to get a disenchant first to get rid of the Underworld Dreams, then drawing some more answers, maybe getting something to, like, yeah, swords would be fine, getting rid of a creature. And my opponent went for the trade. Yeah, they were okay trading one of the Suchis and not using the mace to get it back to block. At this point, I'm trying to find an answer. That Underworld Dreams just put a decent clock in the game, and I'm just hoping my draws would be playable at this point, because that land, unfortunately, really isn't it. Yeah, I can't keep just holding cards in my hand. I'm not gonna be drawing enough to get that library going. Yeah, especially with that Underworld Dreams in play. Yeah, sure, I get the Brain Geyser is gone, but let's say I get the Ancestral Recall. Draw 3, take 3. Yeah, that's probably on. And there's the Underworld Dreams number 2. That's gonna make my life hell at this point. So now we're pretty much praying for a miracle. 2 disenchants back to back, and we probably could be in the game, but factory is not it. I can't kill attacking, because otherwise I'm gonna be losing immediately. Relic Barrier, tapping one of my Suchis, and most likely tapping the other one right before attack. Gloom in play. The Gloom isn't gonna do that much, it just makes my disenchants a bit worse, but I should have enough mana to cover those. Yep, there's the tap. Both of my Tsuchis are tapped. My factory just has to jump at this point. I would have accepted trade in a heartbeat, but that's not an option for me. Passing the turn, these are my last draws. Let's hope they're good ones. Because if that's nothing, then the situation is really dire. Now I do have a Swords to Plowshares in my hand at this point, and I'm just wondering, where am I shooting it? Because I could get rid of their Tsuchi, which would kind of prevent them from attacking, but that might not be enough. Other option would be to just shoot my own Tsuchi, gain 4 life, but then there's the second problem. The relic barrier is gonna make sure that the remaining Tsuchi won't be able to block, and I'm probably gonna be dying to my next draws either way. So I'm kinda thinking hard about when can this swords be deployed. Passing the turn, realizing I don't actually have to do it on my own turn. But this second relic barrier just made my day, because that forced my hand immediately. Both my Tsuchis are tapped out, so the swords have to be used on my opponent's Tsuchi right there. But now we're just having the same problem again. Those Underworld Dreams are just gonna be killing me. I could use maybe a Divine Offering, but I don't think that's gonna save me either way, and this game is pretty much over and done with. My hand just dead. Tampere Knights gets the second round. And heading into game 3, and this one was probably the first 7 I get to keep. And my opponent probably was thinking real hard, do they keep the Abysses in? Do they keep the Terrors in? Is there any white creatures left in my deck? But yeah, there's a non-white creature right there. Mishra's Factory for the start. Not the most interesting start, but start nonetheless. Opponent heading out with a double black and Relic Barrier right away. Yeah, that's gonna be annoying. It's gonna make sure that my Mishra's Factory ain't gonna be ticking down those first few hits. And here is something I was really thinking hard about. Copy Artifact. Do I hold in my hand to get maybe a creature, or do I want a Relic Barrier of my own? Well, I played it at this point, so that's my barrier now. And here's the kind of the problem with my opponent having it right now. They have to keep tapping my Relic Barrier with their own, so I don't get the first hand opportunity to kind of decide where it goes. Because they can only just make sure mine's tapped, and if I got a creature out, that creature is going to be saved. And that's kind of the thing I was really hoping. A Gloom into play, so no white stuff coming to play at any time soon. But yeah, looking at my lands, there ain't gonna be any white mana available for me, so no worries there. And let's just get that factory up, get it tapped, get that Relic Barrier activated so I can use my own to do something different. And yeah, getting that Mox tapped in their upkeep, hoping they don't have the third land, hoping they won't get the Underworld Dreams right away, but well, one part was missed because they got their third swamp in. And now, long and hard thinking what to do with all that mana. Is there a Underworld Dreams waiting for me? I was kind of thinking maybe they wanted to get to that 4 mana to get their Tsuchi in. Thinking about it, yeah. Not an easy decision at this point, yeah. Another Gloom. Yeah, I'm not gonna be playing any white spells at this game, probably at all. And that may not be that much of an issue. I do know that there is a Disenchant in my hand right now, but yeah, no Plains, no Tundras, no City of Brasses, nothing to get white mana from. So now the question is, how am I gonna play this game? I didn't get a land drop, so that's kinda bad for me. I lost the initiative with the relic barriers by not being able to kind of do anything. Keeping my mana open because I did have a counterspell in my hand, and hoping that might be useful. Icy Manipulator, and yeah, that is a card I do not want in play. Counterspell right away, no questions asked. Getting them tapping anything would pretty much ruin this game for me. Well, Ancestral as a top deck, that was something I really wanted to see. Get that card draw going, get that land drop in. Did I hit something? I did. I hit the best thing ever. My own library. And this is why that Icy Manipulator would have been actually extremely effective, because they would have been able to tap my Library of Alexandria at points when I do not have that exact 7 card in hand. Which is one of those kind of... Well, it's a corner case situation in a game like this, but to me it's one of those reasons why I do not want to see Icy in play. Of course, tapping the creatures, tapping mana sources, just making my life miserable. And there's a City in a Bottle. Well, so long library. It was good for 1 card and making my opponent lose 1 because they played the bottle. And Demonic Tutor at this point. Now, good question. Most likely we're going to be seeing either a Mind Twist or maybe an Underworld Dreams. Doesn't really... The game situation doesn't really kind of dictate that choice. They can have a few options at this point, what they're going to be doing. They need a card, pass the turn to me, and I get to play. Now, with the library in my graveyard, I can just start spamming my hand. A Mox, a Soul Ring. No white mana. That's going to be a problem for me right now. No white mana here. But my opponent doesn't really have that much going on. So, tap the Relic Barrier, just making sure that the Mishra's Factory can get a nudge in and get the ball rolling, get the life shriveling down little by little. Yeah, 2 points isn't that much, but it's a start. It's a start. And getting another copy artifact to multiply my factories is absolutely amazing. Yeah, there was maybe a little punt there, because I could have copied it before combat and pumped it for 1, but, well, let's just hope this isn't gonna be left to that 1 point. Another time walk for this game, and those time walks are always a treat. And now, especially when I have 2 factories and their Relic Barrier is tapped, and I get to keep controlling what is going to be tapped and when with mine, this is going to make my life a treat. And there, Su-Chi number 8. No wonder I'm playing aggressively. And a Maze of Ith of my own doesn't really do much other than untap my stuff at this point. Opponent's down to 14 life. I got 8 points of damage on board, and I get to control their Relic Barrier. They don't have a Maze of Ith at this point. This game is looking good. This game is looking really great. Well, there's the Mind Twist. So long my hand. Yeah, Disenchant, Divine Offering, and Swords to Plowshares, and no white mana to cast any of them. Yeah, those Glooms didn't really kind of in a way do much, because I had no mana to cast those cards, but yeah, getting even that 1 Plains would have been enough to do wonders. But at this point, this game is looking good. My opponents had 2 cards. I got 8 power in play. They have no way to keep tapping my creatures. This is basically they got 1 draw left. And let's see if that draw is going to be any good, or is this game all wrapped up. Thinking hard, that was not an instant great card. Yeah, that was Greed. Yeah, Greed is not something you wanted to see at this point. Yeah, they have to draw no matter what, because if you don't draw, you die. Maze of Ith, one of the better draws you could get, but that doesn't really get you out of the trouble, because no matter if you untap the Su-Chi, there's still 4 points coming in, and my opponent sees it, and it is game over. Well, that was quite the game. The Su-Chi counter just kept going up and up and up. I really love how the games played out. Those little demon robots beating each other senseless was quite the sight, and that is exactly why Triple S shines here compared to other blue-white builds. The little fact that Su-Chi is an artifact played a huge part when playing against the black control deck. Terror and Abyss both became dead cards, and the opponent has to think long and hard whether or not I kept my white creatures in, or are they gonna just side all those out. For this match, Time Walk was the key that pushed the damage through. Basically all my wins were thanks to getting Walk and an additional extra attack. Slaughtering did have a ton of one-to-one ways of dealing with my threats, but nothing helps when they get 2 hits for the price of 1. And in game 3, that shift in who controls the relic barrier taps thanks to the Walk changed how the game played completely. Being the active party there dictates whether they can be used aggressively or have to be used defensively. I would probably say that pretty much every other blue-white variant would be struggling here. The Abyss and Maze of Ith makes it so that angels are pretty much useless, and Serandips would basically be a death sentence at that point. The only way they could be good is if you can drop multiple in quick succession. The only consistent thing you can do is just try to go under all the control pieces and just be quick, and that's not usually something blue-white does well. Now, this was the final chapter of my Triple S test archive. The deck plays better against more aggressive decks, but I felt it struggled against super control-y decks. Which blue-white deck to pick is always a meta call in the end. But time to return this book to the shelf and shut the lights. Thank you for visiting the Shivan Library.